Hello, how you doing? My name is Roger Gitonga. Today we'll be covering chapter 13, diversity and equal opportunities. Wow, this chapter, my goodness, we usually have a lot of debate on this chapter because you realize that this is one of the things that we are fighting for right now in the world. We are fighting for equal opportunities for both male and female. We're fighting for women power, and stuff like that. So it is a very important chapter because these are the issues that we're actually facing right now. So as we tackle this chapter, I want you to put that in mind that these are actually practical things that we are going through on a day-to-day basis. Now, as we introduce this chapter, what I want to look at first is that managing diversity orientation implies the need to be proactive in managing the needs of a diverse workforce in such areas such as tolerance of individual differences. Now, when I'm talking about diversity, I'm talking about people from different backgrounds. So you really need to learn how to tolerate individual differences because people have been raised differently, people think differently, people have different cultures, and you really need to know how to understand and also to tolerate differences, individual differences. Two, communicate effectively and motivate the ethnically diverse workforce. When you communicate effectively, everyone feels like they know what they should do. Everyone feels like you actually care about them. But even as you motivate them, you actually push them forward to work as a team, as much as they are different, you make them united. Three, managing workers with increasingly diverse family structures and responsibilities. Now, this is one of the toughest things because you realize people come from different backgrounds, people have different structures. Some are fathers, some are sons, some are single, some are married, and you really need to look into such differences. Four, managing increasingly diverse career aspirations. Remember, when people come to your company, they have come there with an aim in mind. They want to grow, and you have to really know how to nurture that. You really need to know how to bring out the best of their abilities. Five, deal with differences in literacy, numeracy, and qualifications in an international workforce. Remember that we cannot all be the same. Okay, some are sharper than others. Others have better qualifications, maybe because they had finances to support them, while others didn't have the same benefit, yet they were sharper. So you need to look at such things, okay, so that you're able to know how to grow and how to move the company in the right direction by using your diverse workforce. Now, equal opportunities is an approach to the management of people at work based on equal access and fair treatment, irrespective of gender, race, ethnicity, age, disability, sexual orientation, or religious beliefs, which means that everyone should have an equal opportunity at any opportunity that arises. Everyone should have an equal chance at any job that is advertised, and you should not judge them on gender, whether they're male or female, or whether they're from Africa or America, whether they are black or white, whether they're old or young, whether they're disabled or not. That would be wrong at all. Okay, it would be quite wrong. Now, discrimination. There are three types that we're going to be looking at. The first one is direct discrimination, which occurs when one interested group is treated less favorably than another, where you find yourself treating men better than women. That's direct discrimination. Two, indirect discrimination occurs when a policy or practice is fair in form but discriminatory in operation. Now, e.g., this is a very good example. You require all applicants to be clean shaven, but that will put some members of some religious groups at a disadvantage because maybe for them, they are told by their religious groups to grow their hair. Three, victimization occurs when a person is penalized for giving information or taking action. Let me take you back to your primary days, okay, or your junior school days, where maybe someone would be the one to be the teacher's pet and you didn't like it or the class didn't like it, and you'd always victimize that person. So that is victimization. It's the same thing even at work. Maybe someone is always whistleblowing and hence you do not like it, so you victimize that person. Now, the common terms that we're going to find here, the first one is positive action. Now, this is highly tested in the exam. Actually, you find questions that will pick out exact words from the definition of positive action and ask you what they're talking about. So positive action is the process of taking active steps to encourage people from disadvantaged groups and minority or small groups to apply for jobs and training. Examples would be might be using ethnic languages in job advertisements or implementing training for women in management skills. So you're encouraging people, you're not necessarily choosing, but you're encouraging them, you're uplifting them, you're making them feel that they also deserve to get that job. Then two, positive discrimination. Now these are actions which give preference to a protected person, regardless of genuine suitability and qualification for the job. So you realize here you're giving preference to a specific person, either because of one thing or another. But you see, you're discriminating the rest of the people, right? Because you're giving preference. Now, recruitment and selection. As you recruit and select, you need to be very careful of a few things. Now, the first thing we're going to be looking at is advertising. Any wording that suggests preference for a particular group should be avoided. Don't say that you want people who speak a certain type of language. You will be discriminating. Two, employers must not indicate or imply any intention to discriminate. Three, recruitment literature should state that the organization is an equal opportunities employer. I've seen this with some companies who actually go that mile to state that they are an equal opportunities employer. Four, the placing of ads only where the readership is predominantly of one race, sex, or religion is construed as indirect discrimination. Can you imagine if you put a job application in the toilets, in the men toilets? What are you trying to say there? You're discriminating the women, isn't it? Now, recruitment agencies. Instructions to an agency should not suggest any preference. Application forms. This should not include any non-work related questions and which only one group is asked to complete. I remember I was reading a question that was stating in the application form, it was asking people whether they are expectant or not. Now, you see, when you ask such a question, what are you trying to do? You already, first of all, men can get pregnant. So you're already taking it to the women. And then as you dive down, you're trying to indirectly discriminate women who are expectant or expect to be expectant in a few months. Now, interviews. This should be purely non-discriminatory. Selection testing. This must be wholly relevant and should not favor any particular group. And it has been seen that there's some personality tests which seem to favor men more. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope even as you think about what you've just gone through, that you will just, show some love to people and be fair. All right? Be fair in everything that you do. Thank you so much.